Well, welcome back, folks. Today we're going to move into a new phase for the Suzuki TS50 project. I'm going to begin work on the wiring harness, or loom. Actually, there's multiple pieces to this loom. This happens to be the main wiring harness right here, which I think I alluded to once before is actually in pretty good shape. But what we're going to do in this video, and again it might be a multi-part, I don't know, I haven't shot it yet, I haven't done the work, is go through this main wiring loom. I also have the wiring going to the rear tail light right here that you can see, that I can tell already. You can look inside of that fender, has been bodged, someone's been hacking away at it. And there's a couple other small pieces, I think, there's a connection for the battery. It goes from the battery to the main loom, etc., that I have to take a look at, besides the controls and switches for the handlebars that activate the lights and that kind of thing. So that's what this video or short series of videos is going to be about. Going through the wiring and cleaning up and trying to get it back in condition that I can remount it on the bike. Wiring, as I think I've alluded to before, is actually one of my favorite parts of the project, of this kind of a project. I don't like doing wheels and tires much, but I do like doing wiring. I get a lot of satisfaction out of working with wiring. It isn't the great mystery. I know a lot of people seem to think it is. It's not that complicated, really. And I really like working on the wiring. So I'm looking forward to actually this segment, or the series of segments that we're going to be shooting here over the coming days or so. The tail light, the rear fender and tail light assembly right here is still together as it was when I first took it off the bike. So I'm going to do a brief review. I'm going to reposition the camera in an overhead shot. I'm going to do a brief review of this harness. Again, this might be a little redundant. I might have talked about some of this before. I don't remember. I shoot so many videos and do so much work, not only on the TS50, but on the background. I'm working on some of my other projects here and there, also making adjustments. And then we're going to move over to this one. And again, I might have talked about this before previous. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the wiring as well as on the fender itself before I can get that off to paint. So let's reset up and we'll take a look at these pieces in a little more detail. Up close look at the main wiring harness. Again, forgive me if this is a little redundant. It's intact. As far as I can tell, there's no hacking that's been going on. I haven't done anything to this. It's just the way it came off the bike. Even the wrap on the outside is black, non-adhesive. That's typically not an adhesive wrap. There's no, the rear side is not sticky like a tape. It's in pretty good shape. The ends, most of the ends are getting a little hard and brittle. These clear boots right here. That one, the orange one, is pretty soft yet. This black one isn't too bad. Some of them are in actually pretty good condition considering the age. A couple of them, for whatever reason, are not. Like this green one right here, I'm pointing to my hand. This one is not in very good shape. This red one also, actually this is orange with red, looks like heat shrink tubing. In the other end, kind of the same story. Some of them are okay, some of them aren't. They're probably all usable. What I will likely do is I will clean this entire harness thoroughly and make a decision which ones of these boots need to be replaced. I'll replace the connector inside as well because I have the kit to do that. And if I think they can be preserved, like this one right here, this yellow with the red stripe, my hand, that's in very good condition, especially for its age, and that can be cleaned up and it'd be very serviceable. Probably at least half, if not 3/4 of these are salvageable and just needs a good cleaning. This little pigtail right here, this red pigtail, this is for the battery. This is detachable, as you can see, and I believe, if my memory serves, I ordered a new one of these from here back to the right. You can still get those from Suzuki. And in general, I'll clean up this harness. Let's take a look at the taillight assembly and wiring. Obviously, we have the rear fender. Again, this is just as I removed it from the bike. I have not done anything further with it. This is not in very good shape. It's cracked in multiple places. Here, I'm pointing to with my left index finger. It's got a crack. There's a crack right here I'm pointing to with my right thumb. Someone has, and again, I think I talked about this before also, someone has drilled and installed these cap nuts, as you can see here. That's not original. Those holes could be filled pretty easily, but there's cracks all over. Someone has reinforced or attempted to reinforce with black duct tape. Might have been the previous owner to me, because that duct tape looks fairly fresh. It's not dried out and brittle like duct tape that's exposed typically will become. But it's not in very good shape. It needs a lot of repair before it can be painted. You know, all these cracks need to be repaired. I'm going to pull the wiring out here in a few minutes. Take a look at that. And distress cracks all over the place. The taillight itself doesn't look too bad. The lens will need to be replaced because it's all got road rash of some kind right here. The previous owner did paint this assembly. He told me he did. Yeah, I think he just painted it with a spray bomb, silver. Did a decent job on it, but I will very likely powder coat that to match everything else. And eventually, when I get around to it, I got one or two of the parts to powder coat as well. So that's what it's looking like right now. Let me get this apart, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation. Minutes later, we got it apart, and as you can see here, no real surprises beyond what we already talked about. I have no idea what this white substance is here. Couldn't tell you, but no real surprises. Maybe wax, dried wax from years ago. Someone tried to wax this fender, or did wax this fender, and the liquid wax got down through that hole. I think that's probably what that is. A little bit here as well. Right there, I think you can probably see. I think that's wax. Again, no other surprises on the rear fender. The taillight lens, I'm going to have to try to replace this. Besides the road rash we have right here, someone was creative because there is a hole. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a hole right, I'm pointing to right there, and they filled it on the inside with red RTV. So I give them credit for being creative. That's red RTV right down in there to fill that little hole. But the lens is usable, but it certainly isn't worthy of a restoration. This backer plate for the taillight assembly has been repaired or hammered out or flattened out. I don't know if you can see right there, but there's indications that someone has worked this metal flat. Now, how that would have gotten damaged like that is beyond me. It suggests that this taillight, let me get the bracket for you. That suggests to me that this taillight bracket right here, which is in very good condition, may not be the original. And this is a replacement piece, because I'm not sure how this would have survived with this kind of damage. And again, it's been hammered flat right here, and you can see evidence of it all through here. It's wrinkled and shows tool marks. They did a decent job of it, probably had it on an anvil of some kind and used, body hammers or whatever. They did get it nice and flat, but it's pretty significantly damaged, and it probably could be re-chromed, but it would require some additional reworking, I think, before I would attempt to re-chrome this piece. The taillight assembly itself, you can see here, I think the previous owner repainted this. This is supposed to be a reflector. I think when they painted the body mount here, he painted this as well, because probably all the reflective material was gone or flaking off. And you can see here the corrosion on the back, and the wiring again has been bodged. let me cut this open, because one way or the other I've got to do something about this wiring, whether I'm going to replace it or repair it. But let's cut this open. I'll cut this open off camera and I'll bring you back so you can see what it looks like on the inside. I finally got that wrap off that section right here, as you can see. The green tape, this green tape, was just around the broken or damaged outer wrap, that black vinyl wrap. There doesn't appear to be any damage to the wiring inside, so that's all that was. This section here was wrapped with this friction tape, like you'd use for, well, Pete, you'd appreciate this, something you'd use for, you guys use this on hockey sticks and that kind of thing to maintain your grip. That was not easy to get off. It almost fused itself. It's been on there a long, long time, and it was like unwrapping a 3,500-year-old mummy. I mean, the way I had to peel that off, it did not want to come off, but we did get it off. And the reason it was wrapped, each wire, the brown and the, well, the white actually, this was white originally, this is brown. I think the reason they were repaired or wrapped is because they're bare wires here. They got pinched somehow. I don't know if you can see that or not. Right there, and right here I'm pointing to. So they just wrapped that friction tape around each individual wire and then wrapped them together and created that big repaired section there. It did work, but nonetheless, it wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. It wasn't the right way to repair it, but I suppose at the time it was functional enough for them. My next steps are, besides cleaning of the main wiring harness I already talked about and redoing the ends and sorting some of those issues out, is I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about this piece here, because it's okay again for a rider, probably a basic reconditioning for restoration. It doesn't suit me, even though he did a nice job painting the inside here. That was just my tablet you just heard letting off a tone. I watched the video, by the way, on a tablet, so I can see what you see. And in fact, if you're curious, there's the tablet right there. So that was just letting off a tone for, you know, email was received or something. But nonetheless, we digress. I have to sort this out and decide what I'm going to do here in terms of repair, replace this. The wiring could certainly be saved. That's not a big deal. Ends could be replaced if they need to be, though they look like they're in pretty good condition. The outer wrap, generally speaking, you know, obviously is not good. That can be easily replaced. It's really the mount itself that I'm most concerned with, in particular this reflector, because this is, I don't know if it's a separate unit or not. There are 3 screws here that hold it together. I don't know if you can see that or not. Again, I'm looking at my tablet so that I can see what you see, and screw there, there, and there. Probably don't sell this as a separate part, but we'll have to see. So that's going to be my next step. I'm going to first work on sourcing or figuring out what to do with this part, see if I can get a new lens. This will have to be painted eventually or powder coated, and then the main wiring loom will have to be cleaned and minor repairs completed. This is in pretty good shape. So I think that's going to be it for this video today, folks, because I've got some prep work to do before I can move on with anything here anyway, with maybe the exception of cleaning of this harness, the main harness, but the rest of these parts I got to do some sorting. So might be a little shorter video than usual, but that's where I'm at with the wiring and trying to get this organized, put back together. Again, we do need to talk about eventually the wiring for the handlebar switches, for the lights and the controls. I haven't even looked at those. We'll get to that at another time as well. It's going to be it for this video today, folks. Any issues, questions, thoughts, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.